They say time heals all wounds, but there are some wounds that never really close. They just become part of who you are. My name is Harold, and I lost my wife, Elaine, 3 years ago. We were married for 51 years. People often ask me what it's like to lose someone after so long. I usually smile and say something simple. But the truth, it's like waking up missing a part of yourself. Like looking across the table and seeing an empty chair that will never be filled again. It's not just loneliness. It's the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. So today, I want to tell you the 6 things I wish I had said to my wife before she passed. Maybe you'll find something in them that helps you say what needs to be said before it's too late. I'm sorry for the times I made you feel alone. I remember when the kids were young, and I worked long hours. Elaine used to pack my lunch, iron my shirts, and somehow still managed to get dinner on the table every night. We had this tiny kitchen, not much bigger than a closet, but she moved around it like a dancer, quick, graceful, and always humming something cheerful. There were nights I came home late and grumbled about how tired I was. I never stopped to ask how her day had been. She never complained, but now I see it. The look in her eyes when I was too distracted to listen. That one evening, I saw her sitting alone in the dark, her hands folded in her lap, dinner cold on the table. I didn't say anything. I just muttered about traffic and ate in silence. I wish I'd stopped more often, looked into her eyes and said, "Thank you for carrying us all. I see you. I love you." Because love isn't just about anniversaries or flowers. It's about being present. It's about listening. It's about choosing your partner every day, not just when it's easy. There was one day, a summer afternoon, when the kids had gone off to camp. The house was quiet. Elaine made lemonade and sat with me on the porch swing. We didn't say much, just watched the trees swaying and the birds flitting from one branch to another. She leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "Sometimes I just want to be next to you, without words." I smiled and nodded, but I was already thinking about a call I needed to return. I wish I had turned to her, held her hand tighter, and said, "Me too. This is enough." There was also a winter evening. Snow was falling gently outside, and we'd just had dinner. Elaine was clearing the dishes, and I was half watching the news. She turned to me and said, "You know, sometimes I miss the sound of us laughing. Remember when we used to laugh at nothing at all?" She was right. We had let life get so loud that we forgot to listen to the music between us. I wish I had turned off the TV, walked over to her, and made her laugh like we were young again. But instead, I nodded, said something like, "Yeah, me too," and let the moment slip away. If I could go back, I'd stop time for that moment. You were right, about so many things. It's funny, isn't it? How we dig our heels in over the smallest things. I thought being a man meant having the final word. But Elaine, she had this quiet wisdom, not loud, not boastful, just steady, always there. She told me once not to trust a certain business partner. His name was Walter, and he had a charming smile and a firm handshake. I thought I knew better. That deal nearly bankrupted us. Elaine never said, "I told you so." She just helped me pick up the pieces. She told me to take more time with the kids, that they grow up faster than we think. I used to wave her off, say we had time. I blinked and our son was off to college, our daughter getting married. She told me we should take that trip to Italy. "Let's go while our knees still work," she laughed. I said we'd do it next year. There was always a reason not to go. But there was one trip we did take. To the coast of Maine, just the two of us, before the kids came along. I still remember the way her hair danced in the ocean wind. We stayed in a tiny inn run by a couple named Marge and Stu. The wallpaper peeled in the corners and the floors creaked, but we didn't care. It rained for 2 of the 4 days, and instead of going sightseeing, we stayed inside, playing cards and eating clam chowder by the fireplace. Elaine beat me at gin rummy every single time. We walked the beach on our last morning. It was cold and misty, and she picked up this perfect little shell, a spiral, pearly white. "Something to remember the sea by," she said, and tucked it into my coat pocket. That shell sat in my drawer for years. I found it again after she passed, and I wept like a child. That trip wasn't grand or fancy, but it was perfect. It was enough. She was right. We should have done more of that. She told me to forgive my brother before it was too late. We didn't speak for 20 years. He died before I could call him. She saw life through a lens of intuition and grace. And I was too stubborn to see it. I wish I had told her she was wiser than I gave her credit for. There was a simpler truth, Elaine often said. Don't save your best things for someday. Today is special enough. She meant the nice dishes, the silk scarf, the crystal glasses. I used to tease her about being fancy, but now I understand. One afternoon she came into the living room wearing that scarf, the one I bought her from Paris on a business trip. She twirled and said, "I'm not saving this for a party. I'm wearing it for the potatoes I'm about to mash." I laughed, but I see now. She was trying to teach me to live, to celebrate the mundane. I wish I had listened. She didn't just understand life. She honored it in every small, beautiful way. I forgive you. No one is perfect, not even someone you love more than life itself. Elaine and I had arguments. Sometimes they were over silly things, like who left the milk out. Sometimes they went deeper. She forgot our anniversary one year. I held on to that for longer than I care to admit. I went to bed angry, turned my back to her. She left me a note the next morning, a simple apology with a little drawing of a heart. I never told her how much that note meant to me. And I said things in anger I wish I could take back. Words like arrows, once shot, can't be undone. But over time, they still echoed in the halls of our marriage. There was a night, I remember it vividly, when our son had just crashed the car. He wasn't hurt, thank God, but I was furious. Elaine tried to calm me down, tried to explain that what he needed was love and guidance, not yelling. I snapped at her in front of him. Her face fell, and she quietly left the room. I never apologized properly for that. I should have. I wish I had taken her hand that night and said, "I was wrong. You were right." But holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person suffers. If I could go back, I would tell her that I forgive her completely, not just with words, but with my heart. And I would ask her to forgive me too, not because I doubt her love, but because saying it out loud matters, because healing sometimes lies in the words we are most afraid to say. And it wasn't just big arguments. Sometimes it was the little disappointments, the missed date night, the forgotten promise to fix the leaky faucet, the birthday card that arrived a day late. Elaine once told me she felt like she wasn't exciting anymore, that she had become invisible as the years went on. That broke my heart, not because it wasn't true in some ways, but because I didn't see it then. I didn't say, "You are the most radiant person I've ever known." I didn't tell her she still took my breath away when she wore her hair up or when she danced barefoot in the kitchen. I wish I had forgiven those small stumbles, hers and mine, with the grace she always gave me, because love doesn't demand perfection. It demands forgiveness, and I wish I had told her that more often. You made me a better man. Elaine had a way of lighting up a room, not in the flashy, dramatic sense, but like sunlight slipping through curtains on a quiet morning. Gentle, sure, warm. She loved people, genuinely. She'd strike up conversations with strangers in the grocery store. I used to tease her about it, say we'd never get out of there on time. But now, I miss that. I miss how she could make anyone feel seen. She brought soup to sick neighbors. She organized coat drives every winter. She remembered birthdays I forgot, including mine, one year, when I was too buried in work to even care. But it wasn't just her kindness. It was her strength. When my mother died, I fell apart. Elaine held me, fed me, reminded me to shower. When I lost my job and felt like a failure, she looked me in the eyes and said, "You are more than your paycheck." Through her, I learned patience, I learned grace, I learned how to love without conditions. I didn't tell her enough how much she shaped who I am. I wish I had looked her in the eyes more often and said, "I'm a better man because of you." One Christmas, our daughter fell ill with the flu and couldn't come home. I was upset, even a little bitter. Elaine baked all the same cookies anyway, wrapped them in tins, and mailed them to her overnight. Then she made us dress up and have a pretend Christmas morning, just the two of us. We took turns opening each other's silly gifts. Mine was a pair of red and green socks with dancing reindeer. Hers? A handmade coupon book for one day with no complaints. She laughed so hard, tears streamed down her face. That moment, that joy she created out of disappointment, that's when I knew. She made everything better, even me. There was a moment during our 25th anniversary party, surrounded by friends and family, that sticks with me. I gave a toast. I said all the usual things. How lucky I was, how long we'd been together, how strong our bond was. But afterward, she looked at me and smiled softly. "You didn't have to say any of that. Just the way you looked at me during the toast. That said everything." She always read me better than I read myself. A few months later, I lost my father. I was inconsolable, sitting on the back steps like a child. Elaine didn't try to fix me. She just sat beside me, our shoulders touching, and handed me a mug of tea. "You don't have to be strong today," she whispered. "Just be here." That's what she gave me. Permission to be vulnerable, the safety to feel, the courage to soften. I became a better man, not because I tried harder, but because she loved me as I was, and helped me grow without pushing. Thank you for the quiet moments. It's easy to remember the milestones, the wedding, the kids, the holidays. But what I miss most are the little things. Sundays on the porch with coffee, the way she'd hum while folding laundry, the warmth of her hand in mine as we watched TV, the smell of her lotion in the bathroom, the sound of her laugh during a corny movie. Every evening after dinner, we had this ritual. She'd wash, I'd dry, and we'd talk about the kids, about what we'd do if we won the lottery, about whether we should plant tulips or daffodils. Those conversations were like pages in a long, beautiful book. One fall evening, just after our anniversary, we sat on the back steps wrapped in a blanket. The leaves were falling in a cascade of reds and golds. She reached for my hand and said, "If this is all we ever had, I'd still say I was the luckiest woman alive." I remember staring at her, stunned, because I had been worrying about bills just moments before. I never said anything in return, just squeezed her hand. I wish I had said, "Me too." I wish I had told her right then that those quiet moments were the ones I cherished most. Those moments were the stitches that held the fabric of our lives together. I wish I had told her more often how much I treasured those ordinary moments, because in the end, they were anything but ordinary. And those quiet moments weren't just shared in silence. Sometimes they were the whispered conversations after midnight, the times we lay in bed, her hand on my chest, as she talked about dreams she never pursued. A little bakery by the sea, a novel she started and never finished. She once said, "I think it's okay if we don't do everything we planned, as long as we did enough of what mattered." That stayed with me. We had a rainy Saturday routine, pancakes, jazz records, and long walks under one umbrella. I can still hear the squeak of our boots and the way she always picked up a leaf or a stone, calling it a treasure from the day. Those were the moments I carry with me, the simple joys, the treasures I didn't realize I was collecting. I'll carry your love with me, always. After Elaine passed, I found one of her notebooks. She wrote something I'll never forget. "If I go before you, don't stop living. Don't forget to smile. I'll be with you, in the breeze, in the song you love, in the laughter of our grandchildren." She knew I'd struggle. She always knew. Her love was never demanding. It was a quiet, enduring presence. Now I see her everywhere. In the garden she planted, where the roses still bloom. In the smell of cinnamon rolls on a Sunday morning. In the lullabies she used to sing to the kids. I still hum them when I miss her most. Last year our grandson had his school play. He was dressed as a tree, stiff cardboard limbs and all. Elaine would have laughed until her eyes watered. After the show, he ran up to me and said, "Grandma would have been proud, right?" And I said, "Oh yes, she's still proud. She never stopped." Sometimes I write her letters. I sit by the window, pen in hand, and tell her about my day. About the birds she used to feed. About how the neighbor's dog still digs in our flower beds. It makes me feel close to her. I wish I could have told her, and maybe in some way I still can, that I feel her everywhere. And though I miss her more than words can say, I carry her love with me every single day. It shapes how I move through the world. It reminds me to be gentle, to listen, to love out loud. I've made a small garden bench out back, in her favorite spot under the old elm tree. Her rose bushes grow nearby, wild, fragrant, stubborn, just like her. I sit there most evenings with a book or a cup of coffee, and sometimes I talk to her, just out loud. No one's around to hear. Last month, a butterfly landed on my knee. It sat there longer than usual. I don't know if I believe in signs, but something about it. I said, "Hello, my love," and for a moment the world felt right. Elaine taught me that grief isn't the absence of love, it's the continuation of it, the transformation of love into memory, ritual, and presence. I will carry her love not as a burden, but as a gift, as a compass that guides me still. If you're lucky enough to have someone by your side, tell them what matters. Say the words. Don't wait, because love deserves to be spoken. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you write yours with fewer regrets and more moments that say, "I see you, I love you,